And we sometimes think it's our own fault, and so we don't speak up. In order to create a healthier society concerning sexual issues, and frankly, a healthier church concerning sexual issues, we need the vocabulary, and we need to be a safe place for the conversation. And we need to stop judging others. So I want to talk about two important issues this morning. One, keys to healthy sexuality, and two, keys to making MCC Toronto a much more sex-positive church. You know, sometimes I think we're afraid of being criticized for this, and so we go in the opposite direction and become silent about it. Now, with these lists that I'm doing, obviously you can't write fast enough to write everything down, and by the end of tomorrow, the sermon will be on the website, and you can go there and play it back and be able to take more notes if you want. Keys to healthy sexuality. Number one, work at accepting and believing that sex is a wonderful gift from God. God intended you to be a sexual being. God created you as a sexual being. Secondly, explore what healthy sexual choices means for you, and then honor your own boundaries. Make honesty an important value in your sexual choices and in your sexual relationships, and honor those agreements. Fourth, make mutuality an important value. Concern for the other, their needs, their wants, their pleasure, as well as your own. Ensure that sexual activity is consensual and is not exploitive. Where you experience guilt or shame around sex, deal with it. Get help with it. Don't wallow in the guilt and shame. 6, let sex be fun. Be creative. Toy stores are not only places where you go and buy presents for kids at Christmas time. There are some amazing adult toy stores that you might want to visit to help you to discover more creativity and more fun in your relationships. 7, be aware that some sexual choices are harmful. Sexual addictions, unsafe sex, adult, child sexuality is wrong. If you have been abused as a child, reach out for help. And if you are an adult involved in sexual activity with children, stop it and reach out for help. Number 8, know that you have an obligation to yourself to establish your own sexual boundaries, and that you have a right to protect those boundaries and demand that others honor them. So what would it take for MCC Toronto to become a more sex-positive church? Certainly, I'm not talking about anything goes. There's a place to challenge inappropriate sexual behavior. We have done so in the past, and we will do so again in the future. However, in order to become a safe place, a welcoming place, I suggest these items. Number 1, stop the judgments. I may not like what you like. I may not understand what you like. However, I will not judge you. Those of you who are in open relationships should stop judging those who are in monogamous relationships, somehow assuming that they've bought into some ancient model or something. And those of you who are in monogamous relationships should stop judging those who are in open relationships as if somehow they are less moral. Solomon was known for having something like 500 wives and 300 concubines. He was known for his wisdom. I think he should have been known for his stamina. There are different relationships in Scripture, and there are different relationships in our society, and we do not need to judge others when we make our own choices. Secondly, we need to create a safe place here for education and conversation, for individuals and for couples. A few months ago, I did a class on homosexuality in the Bible. And for some reason, it was interesting, the class was mostly young people, mostly young GLBT people. They were not much interested in talking about homosexuality in the Bible. They really wanted to talk about sexuality and spirituality. and we need to create a place here on a regular basis where that is safe. Third, we need to develop proper referrals. So when people reach out for us for resources, that we are able to refer them to those resources. Fourth, we need to address issues more often from the pulpit, and not just once every 5 or 10 years when you push me to speak up. And I certainly need to be less afraid to do so than I am this morning. Next. We say that one of our core values is celebrating diversity. We need to make sure that that includes sexual diversities. We need to make sure that this church is a safe place for bisexual people. And gays and lesbians should stop assuming that bisexuality is just a phase someone is going through, or judging them that they're really hiding that they're gay when they say they're bisexual. Transgender people have generally not felt welcomed here at MCC Toronto over the years. And we want to change that. On April the 24th and the 25th, we're inviting one of the North America's premier theologians who deals with the trans issues to come and to do a workshop here and to preach here and to talk to us about how to create safe space. Through a scheduling conflict, I feel really bad that I cannot be here for that weekend. However, I encourage you to set aside the time to learn and to grow. Number 8, we should affirm the right to a healthy, active sexual life for a variety of other individuals, for single people, for the elderly, and for disabled people, just as examples. And finally, the Religious Institute on Sexual Justice, Morality, and Healing laments that most of the public comments on spirituality and sexuality have come only from the religious right, and usually condemning things like homosexuality and gay marriage. And they say that it is time for there to be more progressive voices on sexual issues. We should speak out on issues more often. Sometimes we will speak with one voice, like gay marriage. I think you would agree. We spoke with one voice. Other times, we may differ. And that's okay. I want to give you 2 examples this morning where I believe we do differ. And I share them with you so that we can see that we can differ on these issues. I personally am both anti-abortion and pro-choice. I hope that as a society we can have as much education and resources as possible so that someone would not have to choose an abortion. However, I 100% fully respect a woman's moral and legal right to make that choice for herself and herself alone. And I will not let someone to try to force the false dichotomy by pushing those 2 things apart. Secondly, I do not support laws against prostitution. They drive sex trade workers underground and expose them to unhealthy and dangerous situations. The laws are there primarily, look at the history, primarily as a religious condemnation. And I don't think someone's religious objections should be the basis of our laws. We may debate what is morally healthy, but we should not try to use the criminal code to bolster our own opinion. Now, I chose those 2 issues as examples intentionally because I know we differ, and to show that we can differ, and to show that it's time for us to talk more about these issues, and it's time for us to talk more about sex and to listen more about sex, and not just with each other, but also so that we might hear the voice of God above the moralizing of the religious right and above even the silence of our church. For you've asked the question, is sex bad? It certainly doesn't have to be. We can have a healthy, wonderful, fun, creative, enjoyable sexual life. And we should absolutely give others the freedom to have the same. Thank you.